Magzine.it, live dal Festival del Giornalismo di Perugia, siamo con Richard Colebourn, direttore della redazione Medio Oriente della BBC News. What is the most important things that the public service like BBC have to tell about the world?
About the world?
Yeah.
Well, I think the BBC's kind of place as a public service broadcaster is really kind of vital in terms of having news organisations that are big enough, that have got the scale, in the media marketplace that we've got now, to have the resources, to have reporters in different countries, to have the kind of breadth to be able to actually really report on what is going on in individual countries and taking that information and telling it to the whole world. So that's what the BBC is all about. And the BBC has got an advantage in that we're big. We broadcast a lot on English outlets, on English networks, but we also have Latin language services. So the BBC in the Middle East, in my region, we're broadcasting in Arabic, we're broadcasting in Persian, in Turkish, across the whole Middle East. That gives us a kind of advantage. I think that's the real value of the BBC. That, for example, we can have Arab-speaking journalists across Egypt who are reporting on BBC Arabic and then telling the news to an audience in England as well, or in Europe. That's the real value. So for the BBC, it's about the scale, about resources, and I think in terms of where the media is now, it's vital because news organisations seem to have less money to spend on foreign news. It's very expensive, so that's why the BBC is important.
How do you imagine the future of reporting journalism? It will be like today, more or less, or we will make the news sitting on our sofa?
So you mean the individual making their own news somehow? No, I think there will still be a real place for a long time for the sort of news that the BBC and other organisations like RAI, like American networks, New York Times, traditional big news organisations produce. I still think there's going to be a real value for that for a long time because I think that the number of individuals out there who are so engaged with the news, following it on Twitter, following it on Facebook, wanting to comment and contribute themselves, it's a really interesting and it's a growing group of people, but it's still pretty narrow. A big part of the world, a big part of the Italian audience, the British audience, they want to sit down, they want to watch the news for half an hour, they want somebody to tell them what is important, and they want them to explain that to them, and they want them to be given engaging and interesting storytelling on TV, and they're busy people with busy lives. They don't have the time to engage in the way that you or I might on social media, on our sofas, finding the news from Egypt ourselves. They want somebody to tell it, and they want an authoritative, trusted source to provide them that news. I don't see that is going to change anytime soon. But of course, the way we use technology, the way we get information, the importance of the internet, how we bring the news to people, how we tell it, the way that changes how we spend money, that's incredibly important. But it doesn't change the kind of fundamental, I think, of what actually lots of people want.
In a sentence, what is journalism for you?
Good question. What is journalism for me in a sentence? I would say this is very obvious, but it's the attempt to find truth, to get out and to really find out what is going on in the world and to come to some view as to what's important, what's not important, why things are happening, and then to tell it, to broadcast it, to write it in a way that is imaginative and creative and engaging for audiences. That's a long sentence.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem.
Thank you.
Welcome.